Howdy Space Rangers, Captain Phoenix here. Today I have another video for you. It'll probably be the last video of today, seeing as guess what guys, I've reached 100 videos. Yay! I kinda wish I had like one of those Muppets there. They just wave their arms, they're like just so excited about everything. Like, bro, this is a huge accomplishment. I actually made it to 100 videos. How insane is that? Wow. Anyways guys, today I think I might be doing my final video. So today I'm deciding to do a Star Wars video. Now if you've been following my channel, then you know like I haven't talked a lot about Star Wars. I mean, I have said I'm a fan and I do follow it a bit, but like I never really go into depth of what I do. So I decided, hey, why not today let me say something I want to say. So today we're gonna have a podcast discussion about what I think of the Star Wars shows and how they can be improved on. And seeing as Disney has bought Star Wars, how they could actually become a legacy for Disney. Now, back to what I was saying. Now, before I go any further, I'm not going to say anything about the new Star Wars movies. That is dangerous territory. I don't want to put my foot in. And I guess that's why I don't talk a lot about Star Wars movies. I guess I'll like let you know about all my opinions once episode 9 comes out. Anyway, so I'm going to be talking about the Star Wars shows. How they've gone from good to bad and how we can make them better. Let's begin. So, kicking off the list, we had the Clone Wars. Let me just say that I really enjoyed this series, and you know, in my video for best childhood animated shows, it was there. However, as I said, I couldn't upload it because it was copyrighted. I hope this video doesn't get copyrighted because I'm using purely images here, no videos this time. So anyway, yeah, so I liked Star Wars: The Clone Wars. It was a good show, and it did have some really spectacular elements about it. True, some of the episodes were just pure filler, but others were like really enjoyable. And let me just even say a few of my favorite episodes. I'll say for these shows, I'll say episodes I liked, episodes I didn't like. I'll maybe forget here and there, but let me just start with the episodes I liked. Like, bro, this was actually one of my most favorite episodes from the Clone Wars show. Reason being, it just felt so good. The clones actually have good chemistry between them. All of them have a reason for what they're doing, and on top of that, it makes them feel more human. It makes us side with the clones and their cause, you know, to fight for the Republic, to be in this war. And Krell, let me just say that Krell is, I wouldn't say he's like an excellent villain, but I would say they did a really good job with General Krell. And you know, his death had come and all that, but I just feel like this made the Clone Wars series shine. Yes, it was a war, but it also had like a, you know, kind of a simple narrative to it, and it just made the clones feel more alive and more human. And it does make it all the more sadder once they do turn on the Jedi, but you know, that's because of mind control. It's not really like really their fault and stuff. But anyways, this episode really hit it for me, and I felt like I was in touch with all the clones. This 4-episode saga, if you haven't watched the Clone Wars, I would advise you start with this. It just gets you off on a good note. And of course, we had the season 5 finale. I think this is one of the times that I think this is like one of those shows where the final season isn't my favorite season, or at least where the finale isn't my favorite. Because if you've been following my channel, you know I love endings, and this was just a great ending. In all honesty, it just made me tear up. Having Ahsoka go, it was really sad in all honesty. And this finale just shows how far their friendship has gone between Anakin and Ahsoka. I just really wish they could have continued with it. Maybe, and of course they will in season 7, but all the same, this was a really heartbreaking finale. And in all honesty, I really did like Clone Wars for that. Every season just felt like it had something special to it. But to me, the highlights of Clone Wars was season 4 and 5. If you're ever interested in watching the show, watch those 2 seasons. They are really good. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So most of them have filler episodes. Like there was this whole arc about Jedi younglings, going to find the kyber crystals. Like the first episode was interesting enough, but like the other 3 were kind of boring. Then we had one where droids had to go on a scout mission out, and I kind of liked it for its simple story, but again, it was basically filler until the final episode, so that was worthless. Regardless, the Clone Wars was a very good show. Did it deserve to be between episode 3 and 4? I mean 2 and 3? Yes, it really did. I do think that it actually kind of helps complete the trilogy in a way. Like, episode 2 and 3 never had the chance to explore what happened in between those time periods, and I feel like the Clone Wars did that well. All in all, I really wouldn't say, like, if I were to change the Clone Wars, I really wouldn't change much about it. It already just seems perfect as it is. The other two shows in hand, well, there's a lot to talk about. And this again, remember, this is just my opinion. This is how I think Star Wars shows should work. Anyway, this was back when Star Wars was in the hands of George Lucas, so I really can't change anything about it. But this is more like a discussion of how I want Star Wars shows to be in the future. So let's go on with that. This happened, the year immediately Disney bought Star Wars. And I would say that Rebels, well, it's a mixed bag in my opinion. I don't hate Rebels. By no means at all do I hate Rebels. I actually think it could be an engaging show at times if it stuck to what it was doing. And that's actually my biggest problem with Rebels. Anyway, let me start off with the stuff I didn't like. Season 1 and 2 kind of did drag a little bit. Like, there wasn't a whole lot going on in them. And it kind of like dragged the show. Season 3 is where like things picked up, and season 4 is my favorite season. Season 4 actually felt like it was going back to what made the Clone Wars great. However, it was too little too late. And that brings me back to my main problem. Like, season 1 felt like it was too kiddish. Like, you could tell it was gonna be a kiddie show. So I obviously wouldn't hold that over its head. So I wouldn't blame them if, like, instead of killing stormtroopers, they bump their heads together and then they go unconscious after that. Seriously, what was that about? Anyway, so back to Star Wars Rebels. Depending on how the seasons were, my opinion did vary with them. For example, I did like the season 1 finale. It was okay. I didn't mind it. But the season 2 finale is where things really picked up, where we had the Vader versus Ahsoka battle, Twilight of the Apprentice. I really, really love that. That just screamed so much in it. We got to see Ahsoka reunite with Vader, but not in the way you'd think it will. And everything was just going everywhere, topsy-turvy. Freaking Ahsoka dies, and then Kanan gets blind. It was just a beautiful ending to the season, and I just wish the rest of the show was as amazing as that. As I said, I don't hate Rebels, not by a long shot. I just think it could have been improved on. Regardless, there was still more to cover with Rebels. Season 3, I didn't watch a whole lot of Season 3, so I can't say much about it. But I did like the Twin Sons arc between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. That just actually was, like pretty good. And I really did like the Season 4 finale. Let me just say that the season 4 finale is great. You guys know I love climaxes, and you know I love endings. And I felt like the way this ended was great. Kanan died, thus giving way to the original trilogy. Ezra disappeared. Hera was there for all the battles. Even Rex. Zeb went to go make his own homeworld again. And Sabine went in search of Ezra. It was a really nice ending. I did like how Ezra faced Palpatine, faced his past, took down Thrawn with him. It was just a really great ending, just to say. And in all honesty, I really do think that Rebels was living up to the hype, but it came, as I said, too little too late. But the greatest moment for me in Rebels just came when it was the closest to the Clone Wars. And this really sparked my love for it even more. Like, wow. Saw Gerrera and Mon Mothma having at it. This scene was 100% pure perfection. 110% would have been Palpatine there, and these guys would just be discussing. I don't care if they talk like this for the whole episode. I would sit there and watch it. This moment was just perfect. It perfectly encapsulated of how these people thought about the war and how everything was going. Mon Mothma wanted to play by the rules, but then Saw Gerrera is like, yo, everything's fair in love and war, and this is definitely war. And the rebels don't even know that they are fighting, that don't even know they're fighting in a war, yet everyone else can clearly see it. I really did love this arc. This was one of the highlights for me in Rebels, and I just wish Rebels could continue on with it. My goodness, I love this moment. But if there are a few bad things to say about Rebels, well, as I said, season 1 and 2 were kind of kiddish. A lot, plenty of filler episodes, trust me on that one. And it was kind of bad at first, but I feel like they improved on it later on. So, Rebels, it was an okay show. Now, what do I really think of it, and how do I think it could be improved? Well, for one, this show really had a lot of potential. I mean, it takes place in between episode 3 and 4. This was Disney's only chance to make it work, and it only worked at 50%. And that's the problem. This show had so much potential going on for it. It really had so much. You just had to dig a little deeper to get it. But Disney only aimed for 50%, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. They had so many ideas that they could have used, but such little time to do it, and that's just kind of upsetting me. So in a way, this show really had a lot of potential. It could have really struck out as a big blow in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and it could have shown so much stuff that went on during that time period that I wouldn't even know about. Like, wow. Rebels really went on about it, and as I said, I hated the Heroes of Mandalore ending. That didn't work for me. Like, we had built it so much in Clone Wars, and then it gets ruined in Rebels for the first 2 episodes. Like, what? That is not how I wanted to go. It was such an anticlimactic ending. I hated it so much. And they could have done so much more with it. They could have really reached the extent with it. Clone Wars Season 7 better have a better conclusion to this, otherwise I'm out. But nonetheless, Rebels really, if I were to say it fits between episode 3 and 4, then I would say go for it. Like, it seems to be okay, but had you really tried just slightly harder, Dave, I know you could have come out with a fantastic show. Instead, you came out with a good show. Anyways, oh boy, do I hate this show, Resistance. I think I gave up like on the 10th episode. Resistance was just so boring to me. Not even the mid-season trailer like sucked me in. Now, Resistance has like bad animation. Let's just get out of the way. There's no hiding it. It's not anime. It's nothing. It's bad. It's just bad. Disney just went all out cheap with this. And in fact, I only liked one episode, and that was High Tower, where Kaz was trying to spy on the First Order. That episode actually had a lot of suspense to it, and I actually felt myself being drawn in. If every other Resistance episode was like that, I would have treated this show with more respect. But no, it instead had to be, oh, I'm a spy, oh, I'm this happy-go-lucky guy, oh, we have bad animation, like, kill me now, just kill me, this show was bad. Let me just say how I think Disney could have struck a deal with this show. First of all, let me just show on the movie path a little bit here. Why is the show called Why is it even called Resistance? If anything, since the New Republic was made, shouldn't Resistance be, resisting any opposing threat? They could have made up the Resistance as the one army that would take care of the galaxy and not have another civil war like the Clone Wars or the Galactic Civil War. That way, they could actually they would have a reason for calling themselves the Resistance, resisting any opposing threats, like how the Avengers call themselves the Avengers for avenging those that wronged them. But no, the Resistance are instead rejects of the Republic who want to go do their own thing, and I'm like, there is so much wasted potential. What I wanted from the Star Wars shows was, okay, here's what I think should happen from the Star Wars shows. Yes, I know we're getting The Mandalorian. That will take place between episode 6 and 7, but more leaning to episode 6. What I feel could have been a good Star Wars show is that if Resistance instead took place in between episode 4 and 5, there was a 3-year break during then, and I think they could have really worked well in that time period. We get to see how the Empire Strikes Back, and the spy thing could actually work, seeing as the Empire would grow stronger. I cannot tell you how much I actually want a show between episode 5 and 6. Yes, I'm gonna tell you the truth right now. I actually want a Star Wars show that takes place between episode 5 and 6. Yes, it is a 1-year break between movies, but I feel like you could have so much potential there. And instead of having, I know Disney is ignoring all the Jedi and the Force and such. I don't know why they're doing that. I mean, it's literally a gold mine sitting in front of them, but they're like, nah, we'll take the hard way. But with this, they wouldn't have to focus so much on the Force. They could just focus on the pilots and such, because Luke would just be the one Jedi, and it would work so well. In my opinion, I think a show that takes place either in between episode 4 and 5 or 5 and 6 could work really well. In my opinion, I think it could work better if it takes place in between 5 and 6, where Luke is a skilled Jedi and we get to see the extent of his powers and what he does with them. I really do believe that you could make a good Star Wars show out of that. And Resistance, don't tie it in with the sequel trilogy. I know that there are Star Wars shows that's supposed to take place in between trilogies, so we know what happens, but don't tie Resistance in. It really won't work for you. Trust me. If you made a show that takes place closer to episode 7, then fine. It's your own thing. You made it yourself, but please work with it properly. And just as the same, I really do hope that if you make a show, make it as interesting as possible. Connect with the Force more. That's what the fans want. We want to see Jedi's, lightsabers, and stuff. And on top of that, I don't know, this is my opinion, but make it somewhere. If you're gonna do a series or show, I know you're gonna step away from the Skywalker saga after episode 9. So if you're gonna do series that tie in with the original trilogy, do it in between episode 4 or 5 or 5 and 6, in my opinion. Anyway, guys, that's me, Captain Phoenix. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't copyright me for this. I know I've been a bit fast at the end, but nonetheless, I will see you in another universe. 100th episode.